dedicated license plate modules that are optimized for different country number plate styles. The application is an add-on product that is compatible with most of our XProtect VMS products and the Milestone Husky NVR series. So you basically can work with the license plate recognition software in various kind of installations, ranging from small installations into mid-market type of solutions, all the way up to the high-end, sort of more advanced type of installations using XProtect Expert and XProtect Corporate. In terms of functionality and sort of applications that we can build using the license plate recognition software, it ranges quite broadly from what we normally would know as protect and prevent type of installations, where you have gating type of applications. We grant people access into parking spaces. We grant people access to premises, businesses, hospitals and so forth, and we can also track the access into those premises by using the application. And typical type of customers in this would be Porsche airports, could be defense facilities, schools, parking facilities, shopping malls, and even gated communities or gating residentials. So this is very much about having proactive protection of a certain parameter protection. Basically, you have a premise that you want to gate access to. But license plate recognition can also be used in a totally different context, where we use the knowledge about the vehicles for building business intelligence. It could be customer service, it could be tracking the effect of a marketing campaign. You could see whether you would have people or vehicle coming in from certain regions, or if you just increase the volume of vehicles by marketing campaigns. But you could also use it for loyalty programs, so you have your best customers, you can recognize those, and you can based on their number of visits, you can actually give them bonuses and so forth, and honor them in other ways. And this can be applied in more consumer type of environments, in consumer type of industries, hotels, resorts. It could be shopping malls, it could be restaurants, and so forth. So it's basically just the imagination that puts the limits to this. Another type of application area would be loss prevention, and here you probably would be looking at high-value goods that are easily accessible by vehicles. The obvious case would be fuel stations, but you could also have drive-in shopping places, shopping malls, etc. And here you basically, by recognizing the identity of the vehicle, you can prevent misuse of maybe business cards or company fuel cards, more specifically. You could have prevention of drive-offs, people that fill petrol and don't pay the bill and just drive away. So you could, if they are a part of a blacklist, you can actually prevent them and block the pump up front instead of allowing them to fill the petrol. You can also use the license plate recognition with integration with point-of-sale systems. You can automate some of the processes in the fuel filling process. So this is another type of application for the license plate recognition. A fourth case would be to improve efficiency, where you can automate otherwise manual processes. Typically, you could have a toll pay station where you could minimize the need for manual labor and actually automate the pay process altogether. You could have traffic analytical applications where you monitor traffic patterns by actually identifying individual vehicles and identifying the travel patterns and so forth. But you could also apply to fast lane subscription, the diamond lane type of applications, but also more sort of governmental type of installations, border control, city surveillance, etc. And normally those type of installations would be relatively large installations. They could be law enforcement type of customers. It could be city surveillance customers, law enforcement altogether, toll stations and parking facilities. So basically what you've seen on those 4 slides that I showed you is that there is a broad spectra of applications areas for license plate recognition, and basically you can use it in security aspects, you can have it in efficiency aspects, but you also could have it more in business intelligence and secondary aspects. It could be a question, how does all this actually work when it comes to processes and sort of steps that we take in the process? And I have a set of slides taking you through that sort of logical build-up of a system, because there is a capture piece where everything originates. We have cameras that detect vehicles in the field and feed those images into an analytical application. We use country modules to optimize the recognition rate, to actually specialize on different layouts of the license plates. And then we can pair and match identified license plates with a predefined pool of license plates, and we do that through match lists, and we can have any type or any number of match lists that we pair the recognized license plates against. And then we can use that knowledge in various consumption levels. It could be a matter of just showing the information to operators, security officers, etc. Or it could be to draw automatic actions to open gates, etc. Or it could just be used for investigation and reporting. So there are a number of use cases also on the consumption side of this application. Let's just for clarity dive into some of those areas and talk a bit more in detail on the different aspects. And if we look at the capture piece, the XProtect LPR application works with all cameras that the Milestone VMS or the Husky NVR unit supports. So you basically can mix and match and select the camera that best fits the purpose of your installation, but also the customer budget. We normally would recommend high-spec cameras or even infrared cameras to eliminate some of the environmental conditions, light conditions and so forth. But otherwise, dependent on the use case, you could actually use also more ordinary cameras, especially if you are applying license plate recognition indoor in parking houses, etc., where cars are standing still or moving slowly and you have relatively controlled light conditions. But you also can use LPR, XProtect LPR for multi-lane detection. You have a screenshot here to the right showing a highway with 2 lanes. It could be 3, 4, 5 lanes as well, using just one single camera. So it actually is very flexible also when it comes to the detection piece. On the analytical side, we work with something that we call the country modules, and we have dedicated country modules for more than 100 countries around the globe, which means that the application is broadly applicable regardless of geographics of where you are operating and working. And should you be based in a country where you actually are lacking support for a specific country module, you can place a request with Milestone, and if we deem the business case to be relevant and good enough, we can actually create or expand the support with additional country modules. But just contact the Milestone pre-sales team and we can have a discussion around that. The country-specific models or modules, they are optimized for the license plate styles that are used in a specific country. So you would have a syntax for the license plate. You would recognize, or you would have a syntax for the build-up of characters and numbers and combination of those to actually increase the accuracy rate of the recognition. But if you are looking for a more broader coverage, but maybe not that exact or precise detection, we also offer a set of generic modules. Today we have a series or one module for Australia, the states in Australia. We have another module for the countries in the EU zone, and a third for the states of America. And then we also have a global, very generic module that basically covers any license plate. And as I said, the drawback of those more generic modules is that you have a slightly less accurate recognition in the sort of recognition stage. And when you apply this with a customer, you can use any combination of country modules. So if you're working in a particular state and you have surrounding states, you can actually activate the surrounding states as well and actually have sort of a mix and match according to the customer's needs. And if you are interested to see what countries and what states we are specifically supporting, you just web into the Milestone web page or website. You look up the XProtect LPR product page, and there is a reference to all the license plates that we support. On the match list side, as I said, match lists are used to spawn actions based on a predefined set of license plates. So that could be, for example, a blacklist of cars, it could be a list of stolen cars, it could be a list of my best customers. And based on that matching, I can do actions. I can present the information to the operators working with the system to actually enrich and empower the operators to take the right actions. And I'll show you some examples of how this works later on in the presentation. The good thing is that you can import match lists from external sources very easily, but you can also define those through the management client or even the smart client. So it's very dynamic, and you can work with those very sort of agile in the work process. On the usage side, we have different aspects of consumption of and work cases for operators using the XProtect LPR application. And one thing is to just track passages and detection of vehicles in real time. And here you will see a to the right here, and I actually use the highlighter here. So here you have the camera view, and to the right here you present information for the detected vehicles. So all the details that we have for the vehicles is presented here to the right. So it's very intuitive and very sort of complementary information to the video itself. And of course, the operator can, the smart client operator can select any event in this monitoring list and actually replay the specific video footage for that detection. So it's very easy to navigate in also recorded material. I got a video coming up here on how it actually looks more in real life. So here we have the smart client, and we have a camera mounted on the highway. We have two lanes in either direction. And here you can see, we take a closer look at this event log for the license plates. So here we can see the different detections that we make with the camera. It's presented to the operator. We have the actual license plate, we have the time of recognition, and we have the country of that particular vehicle. And here we also have an information unlisted, and that indicates that we have no match list defined for this particular license plate. But if we had a match list defined, it would also be presented here. So this is how we empower the operator and actually complement the information seen in the video with the license plate information. I also talked about actions, that we could spawn actions based on the recognition of license plates, and that can be based on both the sheer recognition, but it can also be based on matches against one or several match lists. And that could be used to control parking barriers and gates into a premise. It could be used to generate an alarm. For example, if we detect a stolen car, we could generate an alarm and we could take appropriate action on that. But we can also use the events to do external lookups in external databases or interwork with applications, third-party applications that we integrate through the MIP SDK. So you have basically all the flexibility that you need to actually build very sort of customer-oriented applications around the license plate recognition. Another very important piece is how we can do investigations and conduct investigations. What you see here to the right in the screenshot is the list of events, the list of detected license plates that we have in the system, and it's presented with the recognized license plate, time of recognition, country module, and so forth. So you have all the information, and it's very powerful filtering tools that you actually can drill and search in the sort of vast number of data that you have in the system, and you can narrow it down to time and so forth, so you can do very accurate search, and you can also search for parts of the license plate number. So if you have had an incident, a witness remember only parts of the vehicle identity, we can search for parts of the license number. So it's very powerful. And also, based on the selection that you do in that event list, you can also spawn and draw a report, a PDF report, universal format that can be used by anyone. And here we present all this, the selected license plate detections with details, video thumbnail, and the license plate close-up on the actual number plate. And I have a video showing this, how this actually works, and it comes up here. So this is how it looks like in the smart client, and as you see up here, we have a dedicated tab for license plate recognition, and this is the event list that I talked about. And what we do here in this particular screenshot is that we filter the list. So we make a search on all cars and all detected vehicles from Poland. So we selected the Polish country module, and we do the search for that. I can of course also do searches in time, or as I said, parts of the registration numbers, and actually narrow down the search even further. But based on the selection, I can then have a very quick preview of each of the detected vehicles, and I have an immediate part of the video coming up, and I can do a playback of that video, and I have all the information presented together with that vehicle. So it's very easy to find and actually do an investigation based on this. When I found my wanted set of vehicles, I can also generate a report, a documentation of the search, the report that I showed you earlier, and it's very easy done by just generating the report. And this is how it looks like as it comes up, the PDF report. And here you can see the information that we present. And apart from the details that we present for each listing, the video thumbnail and the close-up of the actual license plate, I also want you to pay attention to the fact that we have very good images despite the heavy backlight, the heavy sunlight. You can see the shadow coming from the lorry here. So we despite that have very good sort of close-up on the actual license plate, and there is no difficulty in actually reading the license numbers. So this is just to prove how powerful the application is, and I should also say that we have not been using any special camera or any sort of a specifically advanced setup doing this. And those vehicles, they are also moving in high speed. Although they are lorries, they are probably moving in something like 90 kilometers an hour on the highway here. So that is basically what you can find as a baseline in the XProtect LPR application and the different steps in the usage process. If we then take a look at what we introduce as new capabilities in the XProtect LPR 2015 release, we are having 4 focus areas, and starting from the bottom, and maybe the most important, is ease of configuration, and this is how we make it easier for you as integrators and resellers to actually deploy the solution with end customers. This is complemented then with the new reporting function that I just showed you, the PDF report, and we also done extensions to the match list, and where we can complement the match list with custom data, so we can actually enrich the use of the match list. And then finally, we made adjustments to the pricing. We made some optimization in how we package the product, which I hope you can benefit from doing business with the XProtect LPR application. But anyway, let's take a closer look at each of those enhancements, and let's start with the ease of configuration. And one very important piece here is that we introduce a snapshot-driven configuration wizard, which means that the entire setup process of the LPR and the recognition engine is automated based on a set of snapshots that you do and that you take as a part of the installation process. And I actually got a couple of videos to just demonstrate how easy this is. So now you should picture that you are having a predefined VMS system and you want to enable one of the cameras as an LPR camera. So what we do is that we select what camera that we want to add to the LPR application. So we search, this is the VMS system, and here we have a Highway M34 camera that we have defined for this particular demonstration. So we import it, and now we can select what country modules we want to apply for this camera. Since we are running this demonstration in Europe, in Denmark, we select some European license plates or country modules. And you can select as many modules as you have purchased or the end customer has purchased licenses for. And you can have any combination. And now we enter into the snapshot process. So here what we do is that we have a live image of the camera that we are enabling the license plate recognition process on. And we take a series of snapshots that are representative for this particular camera. And what you should consider taking those snapshots is that they should be as representatives as possible. They should cover different light conditions. They should cover different time of the year, maybe even different weather conditions if you're operating outdoor and so forth, in order to optimize and feed that into the recognition engine. And also what I should say is that if you have images taken previously on recorded material, you can import those as a batch import and work with those snapshots instead. And once you're happy with the set of snapshots, you feed those into the engine, and now the engine optimizes the different settings. And here we start a feedback process where we actually ask the integrator whether the specific snapshots have been recognized correctly. And what you can see here is that for each snapshot we present which country module that we used for detecting the vehicle. We present the registration number, and we also present the confidence level, in this case 91%, and again, despite the heavy backlight and the very difficult conditions, also with high speed moving vehicle, and this is a private car, so it's probably moving something like 120, 130 kilometers an hour. But anyway, for each of the snapshots we feed back into the system whether the snapshot is correctly interpreted or incorrectly recognized, and this is then done for each of the snapshots we fed into the system. And maybe we could jump because it just repeats itself here. Like that. And then we can also decide to add the snapshots to a match list as a part of this process. But now we are applying this configuration into the system, and when we close this dialog, the system is ready for use. So this is how simple it is to set up a license plate recognition application. It doesn't take more than a couple of minutes. What you saw here is in principle a real case where we have some snapshots being taken and you feed that in and the application is auto-configured based on those snapshots. So those of you who have been working with previous versions of our XProtect LPR application hopefully appreciate the easiness of the setup, because there is hardly no way to actually fail in this setup phase. One of the critical components in setting a system up is of course the camera placement and all the environmental conditions, and those we cannot automate as such, but hopefully the configuration of the recognition engine is vastly improved by this release. And now you can be thinking, is those default settings and sort of auto configurations really good enough? And in some cases it might not be, and in some cases you might actually need to manually tweak the settings. And there is also a very easy way of doing that, and this is what I'll demonstrate in this video. So now we are revisiting the camera that we just configured, and what you see here is that based on the snapshots, we actually have auto-configured a detection field. So the camera will be looking for vehicles and license plates in a sub-part of the camera view, and that is the sort of non-red or the sort of highlighted piece here. And the camera basically disregard any license plate or any moving object in the other part of the camera view. In some cases, it's a good thing to have a narrow search detection field, because it actually optimizes the hardware use. But in some cases, you can actually achieve a higher recognition rate by enlarging the recognition area. And it's very easily done. It's shown here in the video. We basically do a marking and we apply a wider recognition area immediately into the camera. And we can also adjust the size of the characters that we have in the license plates, and by that also optimize the recognition rate and the confidence level. And as you can see here, we have a sort of a reference size placed in the video in order to compare with the real vehicle. And this is another way of actually optimizing the recognition engine. And the good thing is that once you've done those manual settings, you can reinsert those settings into the system and do a further analysis of the snapshots and actually prove that your configuration changes have been to the better. And you can see here we now analyze the 5 snapshots and we have an average confidence level of 91%, and in average we spend 200 milliseconds as processing time on each of those recognitions. So this is a very good way of actually proving that the configuration settings I've made, the changes I've made, are good enough for production. There is also another level of advanced settings that you can do, and that is coming up here. So there is even a further level of sort of fine-tuning. And those of you who have been working with video analytical applications will know that it's not that difficult to get a high recognition rate or confidence level. The trick is to balance that with a sort of reasonable processing power in order to not spend too much money on hardware and servers. And what you can do with those sliders that you have here, you can actually balance the performance in terms of usage of hardware versus accuracy and recognition rates. And there are a number of parameters that you can tweak this between. And for example, one thing is that you can control the number of frames that you analyze per second. And obviously the higher speed vehicles have in your application, the more frames it's you should analyze in order to get a good detection. You can also threshold the time that you spend on analyzing each license plate, so you can actually have a sort of a threshold being set. You can also control the number of plates that you analyze within one frame. Normally, if you run multi-lane detection, you would have more than one license plate, but otherwise you can actually optimize the recognition engine by adjusting that. And also, there is no reason why you should be seeking 99% confidence level, because it's probably good enough if it's 85–90%, and by thresholding the confidence level you can cease further analysis and actually save on the processing power. And also another one is that if you have license plates being detected where you actually don't have a good confidence level, it could be that the license plate is dirty, it could be a broken license plate, you should not burden the engine by trying to analyze and actually derive a detection on that license plate. So that is another way of how you can fine-tune your engine. And again, when you adjusted those settings, you again can re-initiate an analysis of the snapshots that you have been using. So it's always a feedback possibility on the changes you do. So that was the configuration wizard. Another thing that we spent quite some effort on this time is to rewrite and sort of enhance and beef up the documentation and the online help. And for that we introduced much more visualized visual and graphical representation of things that you should consider deploying license plate recognition, camera placement, environmental conditions that you should factor into the application and the solution. And another good thing is that we now also localized those instructions into the languages that you see here. The languages in italic are also having the manuals localized. The other ones are only having the user interface localized. And all this is done to reduce the cost for you, reduce the time that you spend with the customer, and hopefully also benefiting the customer to have a more accurate and more smoothly running system as the end result. So hopefully you appreciate those changes, because we think this is in fact great, and we have had very good response from partners having used this in sort of pilot type of installations. Another thing that is new in the 2015 version is the reporting capability that I just showed you. So we don't spend too much time on this. So just so you know that if you're looking at the previous version, you cannot find the reporting capability. Then I said that we also beefed up how we work with match list, and here we introduced custom fields. So we now can actually add and append custom data to the license plates. And for example, if you're running a company and you want to empower the operator to verify that the driver is the right driver, we can add employee name, employee number, maybe the parking area in where the vehicle should be parking, and this would be the employee list. Then we can define another list, which could be a guest list or a visitor list, and here we could define visitors that we expect during the day, and we can grant and greet those visitors by name and be sort of more proactive in the sort of welcoming. If you are running a transportation company, if you are expecting deliveries, you can have the driver's name, you can have the driver order, and some other sort of more business-related information tied to the vehicle, which can be validated upon delivery, so you have a verification there. And all this not only empowers the operator to take the right decisions real time, but it also empowers and sort of enriches the reporting and the sort of documentation on the sort of back end of this, where we actually export information and we can immediately see that this is Judith Owen that passed through the gate Saturday evening. So this is another neat sort of add-on to the 2015 release. And then something that is very tangible and hopefully something that you will be able to leverage on is that we have changed the bundling of the product because the product is built up by 3 licenses: a base license, a camera license, and a country module license. And previously, in previous versions, we have had one country module included in the base license in order to get customers started with the application. We have had feedback from both end customers, but also certainly partners of ours, that it very often is too little to just have one country module. If you are working in a region, Europe, US, you will always have surrounding countries where you can expect visitor vehicles from, and normally you would need more country modules active in the system. So therefore we introduced 5 country modules as a part of the base license, and we do that by maintaining the list price and the recommended price for the base license, so you actually get a far better deal with the 2015 version. And hopefully, as I said, that will make you more competitive in the market and actually lower the barrier for end customers to engage with the solution, to actually see what it can do for them, because there are a lot of benefits derived from the application. So in a nutshell, as a summary, those are the 4 focus areas for the 2015 release. We talked about both the features and the sort of advantages and benefits of this, and so this is something that you can read yourself at a later stage. Speaking about licensing, I just wanted to sort of brief you on the licensing structure, and especially for those who have not been working with the product previously. So the way we license the XProtect LPR application is that we have the base license that now contains the 5 country modules. It clocks in on €195 or $300 US. So that is the base license. In addition to that, you need a camera license for each camera that you want to apply license plate recognition on, and you see the prices, the recommended market prices here. And that camera license is in addition to the actual VMS license, the VMS device license. So you would need both the VMS device license and an LPR camera license. And in installations where you need more country modules than the 5 that are included in the base license, you can purchase, or the end customer can purchase, additional country modules per their need according to the prices that you see here. There's another practical piece of information to this, and that is that should you have customers who are today using the XProtect LPR 1.0 version, the previous version of LPR, they can upgrade by just downloading the LPR 2015 software package and actually install it and reuse the same SLC. They will not get access to the 4 additional country modules, but they will get access to the new functionality. There is a in the opening I said that LPR, XProtect LPR is compatible with most of our both VMS and NVR products, and it's true, and in fact it's only not applicable with the XProtect the central product and the Milestone Husky M10 unit, but otherwise XProtect LPR can run on any of the other products. If you want to embark on or install this with a customer, in order to benefit from all the new functionality, you would need the latest service releases of our products, and for the corporate and XProtect Expert products it's the service release 70D, and for XProtect Enterprise, XProtect Professional and XProtect Express it's service release 86D. So the product is compatible with previous version, it will function, it will work, but it will not unlock the latest functionality. In order to do so, you will need the latest service releases. And for the time being, the latest functions are not available for the Husky units, although the product is compatible with the Husky units. In order to support you in the field, promoting and selling this, you will have a sort of the standard set of collaterals and sales tools. You would have brochures, product sheets, information on the website, supported countries. We're also running an advertising campaign. You see the ad here. And we will also be showcasing this particular release at the IFSEC in UK, more for the European audience than the American audience. And another thing that I really would like to point you towards is the tutorial videos that we've done. The videos that you've seen during this presentation are a part of those tutorial videos, and it sort of covers both the setup and configuration but also the use of the application. So they are really good, both for your self-learning and also as a promotion tool. And then you also have a set of sort of the technical documentation as we normally do. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions. I can see that we are running relatively late, and I'm sorry for that. I'm very excited about this release, so I'm getting